1 month after the Horizon's encounter with the Verations, Earth Space Command had transformed. The large meeting room that once hosted casual briefings now buzzed with urgent activity. Maps of star systems covered the walls, screens displayed, biological analyses and weapons schematics. Dr. Alan White stood at the head of the table, pointing to a holographic model of what scientists believed a Veration looked like. Based on the Horizon scans, they had created a frightening image. The Veration stood nearly 8 feet tall with powerful limbs, scaled skin, and rows of sharp teeth. They evolved as apex predators, Alan explained to the gathered military leaders. Their entire society appears built around hunting and dominance. Admiral Peter Johnson frowned. So we're dealing with an entire civilization of creatures who see us as food? Not exactly food, said Karen Martinez, the lead xenobiologist. She pushed her glasses up and tapped her tablet. They don't just hunt for sustenance, they hunt for sport, for honor, for social standing. The stronger the prey, the greater the prestige in the hunt. And now they're hunting us, Peter said. Grimly, Alan nodded. 3 outposts in the outer systems have gone dark. No distress calls, no warnings. Just silence. The room fell quiet. Everyone knew what that meant. What about their weaknesses? Asked General Sam Wright, a tough woman with short gray hair. Everything has a weakness. Karen stepped forward. From tissue samples collected during the Horizon encounter, we've identified several possibilities. Their hierarchical structure is rigid. If leadership falls, subordinates become disorganized. They also have poor low-light vision despite their predatory nature. Lieutenant Commander Paul Edwards spoke next. His reconnaissance team had been gathering intelligence on Veracian movements for weeks. They're moving methodically through our territories, testing our defenses, Paul said, highlighting regions on the star map. But they're not attacking Earth directly. They're learning about us first. Peter turned to Alan. What's your assessment, Doctor? What strategy do you recommend? Alan took a deep breath. The Verations have conquered over 30 species because they follow predictable patterns. They expect prey to run or fight conventionally. We need to be unpredictable. As they discussed strategies, an aide rushed into the room. Admiral, we've made contact with another alien species. They call themselves the Zelfians. They say they have crucial information about the Verations. Hours later, a holographic image flickered to life in the center of the room. The Zelfian representative was tall and slender, with pale blue skin and large, sorrowful eyes. We were once a thriving civilization, the Zelfian said, her voice translated through the computer. The Verations reduced us to refugees hiding in asteroid belts and abandoned moons. How did you survive at all? Peter asked. By becoming invisible, by studying them and learning to avoid detection. The Zelfian's image flickered. But you humans, you fought back. News of your resistance has spread. Many species watch with interest. Can you help us understand them better? Alan asked. The Zelfian nodded. Their society values strength above all. They respect worthy opponents but show no mercy to the weak. Their ships have a vulnerability in their sensor arrays. They cannot detect certain radiation frequencies. After the transmission ended, Alan turned to the others. This changes things. We're not just fighting for ourselves. We're potentially fighting for every species these predators have hunted. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, on the distant human outpost of Ganymede Station, Mary Lopez scanned the monitors. As head of security for the small research facility, she had been on edge since hearing about the Veration threat. Anything unusual? She asked her assistant, Ben Hayes. Nothing yet, Ben replied, stifling a yawn. Maybe the stories are exaggerated. Mary shook her head. The Horizon crew didn't exaggerate what happened to them. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. Ben's eyes widened as he checked the readings. Unidentified ship approaching. It doesn't match any known configuration. Mary hit the emergency alert. Everyone to battle stations. This is not a drill. The research staff, primarily scientists with minimal combat training, rushed to their assigned positions. Mary had drilled them repeatedly since receiving the warning about the Verations, but she knew they were not soldiers. Through the station's viewports, they watched as a massive ship appeared. Its dark scale-like hull absorbed the light from the nearby sun. It's them, Mary whispered. The Varation ship launched smaller vessels that surrounded the station. The station's defenses fired automatically, but the shots barely slowed the attackers. Inside, the main Varasian vessel, Hunt Leader Grax watched with interest. These humans have prepared defenses, he noted to his second-in-command. They learn quickly. They are still no match for us, his subordinate replied. Grax made a sound like a growl. Do not underestimate them. Capture some alive. I want to understand these creatures better. On the station, Mary realized they couldn't win this fight. Begin evacuation procedures, she ordered. Get as many people to the escape pods as possible. As Varasians breached the outer doors, Mary and a small team provided covering fire for the retreating scientists. The aliens were even more terrifying. In person, tall, powerful, with eyes that shone with predatory intelligence. Fall back, Mary shouted as the Varasians advanced. A scientist fell beside her, struck by a Varasian weapon. Only 3 escape pods launched successfully before the Varasians overwhelmed the defenders. Mary was among those captured. As the aliens dragged her toward their ship, she saw the station's self-destruct sequence activate, a final act of defiance she had ordered. The explosion rocked the Varasian vessels, destroying 2 smaller ships. The main ship, however, moved away with its captives. In his chamber, Grax examined the human female brought before him. Despite her injuries, she stared at him with defiance rather than fear. Your kind is strange, Grax said, circling her. You are physically weak compared to us, yet you fight as if you believe you can win. Mary spat blood on the floor. We don't just believe it. We know it. Grax made a sound that might have been laughter. Interesting. Most prey beg for mercy. We're not prey, Mary said. And you've made a mistake attacking us. Grax leaned closer. How so, little human? Mary smiled despite her pain. You've hunted species that run from predators. Humans hunt predators back. Back on Earth, Admiral Peter received the news of Ganymede Station. His face showed no emotion as he read the report, but his hands tightened on the tablet. How many survivors? He asked quietly. Unknown, his aide replied. We received a partial transmission from an escape pod. The station was taken, but it self-destructed after capture. It appears some humans were taken alive. Peter looked up at the star map. Then we have people to rescue and an enemy to understand. Tell Dr. White to accelerate his plans. The Varasians want to hunt? Let's show them what happens when they hunt humans. The stars glittered like diamonds against the endless black of space. The exploration vessel Horizon drifted slowly through the uncharted territory, its engines humming quietly. Captain Eric Daniels stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the main view screen. They had been mapping this sector for 3 weeks now, and so far they had found nothing particularly interesting. Captain, I'm picking up something strange, said Lieutenant Susan Kelly, looking up from her console. Her brow furrowed as she studied the readings. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. Eric walked over to her station. What kind of readings? Biological signatures, sir, but they're off, not matching anything in our database. Susan tapped a few commands, bringing up a detailed analysis on her screen. Whatever this is, it's big, and it's on an approaching vessel. Approaching vessel? Eric turned to his navigation officer. Greg, I thought this sector was uninhabited. Lieutenant Greg Martinez shook his head. All reports indicated no intelligent life in this region, sir. We must have crossed into someone's territory without realizing it. Put it on screen, Eric ordered, returning to his command chair. The view screen flickered, and the image of a massive ship appeared. It was unlike any vessel humans had ever encountered. Its hull resembled dark, overlapping scales, giving it the appearance of some enormous space-borne predator. Red lights pulsed along its length like glowing veins. Sir, Communications Officer Lisa Parker called out, they're not responding to any of our hails. Eric felt a chill run down his spine. First contact situations were always delicate, but something about this ship felt threatening. Maintain our position, Keep trying all frequencies. Captain, Susan said, her voice tense. Those biological readings. I think the ship itself is partly organic, and I'm detecting hundreds of life forms inside. They appear to be predatory, species based on their biological markers. Before Eric could respond, the alien vessel suddenly accelerated toward them. They're charging weapons. Security Chief Jack Miller shouted. Shields up, Eric commanded. Evasive maneuvers. The horizon lurched as Greg executed a sharp turn, but they weren't fast enough. The alien vessel fired and a beam of pulsing red energy struck the human ship's shields. The bridge rocked violently, consoles sparking. Shields at 60%, Jack reported. One more hit like that and we're in trouble. Eric gripped the arms of his chair. Return fire. Targeting systems only. I don't want to escalate this if we don't have to. The Horizon's weapons fired, striking the alien vessel. The shots seemed to do little damage, merely glancing off the scale-like hull. No effect, sir, Jack said grimly. The alien vessel fired. Again. This time the impact threw several crew members to the floor. Shields at 30%, Jack called out. We can't take another hit. Eric knew they were outmatched. Greg, prepare the experimental warp drive. Greg turned in his chair, eyes wide. Sir, it hasn't been fully tested. We could... That's an order, Lieutenant. We have no choice. As Greg worked frantically at his console, Lisa called out, Captain, we're receiving a transmission, audio only. Let's hear it, Eric said. A harsh, guttural voice filled the bridge. The translator struggled to keep up, but eventually converted the alien language. Weak prey, you will be consumed. Your species will serve the Varation Empire. Eric's jaw tightened. Tell them this prey bites back. Greg, status on the warp drive? Ready? Sir, but I can't guarantee where we'll end up. Anywhere is better than here. Engage. The horizon vibrated as the experimental drive powered up. Outside, space itself seemed to fold around the ship. Just as the alien vessel fired again, the horizon vanished in a flash of light, the weapons beam passing through empty space. Across the galaxy, Admiral Peter Johnson sat in his office at Earth Space Command headquarters. The day had been filled with routine reports and administrative tasks. Nothing exciting, just the way he liked it. Humanity had been exploring space for nearly 50 years without major incident. Their encounters with alien life had been peaceful, if uncommon. His peaceful day ended when his aide rushed in without knocking. Admiral, we've received an emergency transmission from the Horizon. They've appeared in the Tau Ceti system. They weren't scheduled to be there. Peter stood up. The Horizon? They were mapping the Theta sector. That's nowhere near Tau Ceti. Yes, sir. They're reporting severe damage and multiple casualties. Captain Daniels is requesting immediate assistance and a direct line to you. He says it's urgent. Minutes later, Peter stared at the screen as Daniels' battered face appeared. The captain looked exhausted with a cut above his eye and soot on his uniform. Admiral, Eric said, his voice hoarse, we've encountered a hostile alien species. They call themselves the Varasians. They attacked without provocation. Peter listened intently as Eric detailed the encounter. Their technology is advanced, sir, but it was our experimental warp drive that saved us. They weren't expecting it. I think that's the only reason we escaped. And you believe these Varasians pose a significant threat? Peter asked. Without question, sir. From what we gathered, they've conquered numerous species. They referred to us as prey. Lieutenant Kelly's analysis suggests they're apex predators who evolved into an intelligent species without losing their predatory instincts. Peter rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Send all your data immediately. I'll convene an emergency council meeting. After ending the transmission, Peter walked to the window, looking out at the Earth below. Humanity had been lucky so far in their exploration of space. They had faced challenges, yes, but nothing like this. These Varasians sounded like nothing they had encountered before. His aide entered again. Sir, I've arranged the emergency council meeting as requested. Thank you, Peter said. And contact Dr. Alan White. If we're facing what I think we are, we'll need his expertise. As Peter left his office, he couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. Humanity had Always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they knew they weren't, and what they found wasn't friendly. In the vastness of space aboard the Varation hunter ship, Commander Zrek stood before his superior. The massive Varation hunt leader towered over him, sharp teeth gleaming in the dim light. "You let them escape?" the hunt leader growled. Zrek lowered his head. "They used an unknown technology. We were not prepared." "Excuses are for prey," the hunt leader snarled. "However," he paused, turning to look at the star chart. "This prey fought back. They were interesting. Shall we hunt them down?" Zrek asked. The hunt leader's mouth stretched into what might have been a smile. "Yes. Gather the hunter fleets. Find their homeworld. These humans may provide us with the first worthy hunt in centuries." In the quiet of space, the game had begun. The predators of the galaxy had found new prey, but for the first time they had found prey that could bite back. The mining colony on Proxima Centauri 4 was small but valuable. Rich in rare minerals, the outpost was home to 300 miners and their families. Now it was about to become a battlefield. Samantha Ross stood at the colony's command center, looking at the emergency transmission from Earth. The Varatians were coming. Help was on the way, but it wouldn't arrive in time. "They've spotted 3 Varatian ships heading our way," she told the gathered colonists. "We have maybe 2 days before they get here." A ripple of fear swept through the crowd. Everyone had heard stories about the alien predators by now. "We should evacuate," someone called out. Samantha shook her head. "There's no time to get everyone out, but I have a plan." The plan was unusual, not what anyone expected. Instead of strengthening the colony's defenses or preparing for a direct fight, Samantha ordered everyone to make the colony look abandoned. "The Varatians are hunters," she explained. "They expect prey to either run or stand and fight. We're going to do neither." Under Samantha's direction, they shut down all non-essential systems. They hid their equipment and supplies in the vast network of mining tunnels beneath the colony. They prepared hiding places and ambush points. Chief Engineer Frank Gordon worked tirelessly, converting mining equipment into makeshift weapons. Drills became handheld weapons. Mining explosives were transformed into traps. "They're expecting miners, not soldiers," Frank told his team. "Let's show them miners can be more dangerous." When the Varatian ships arrived, they found what appeared to be a hastily abandoned colony. Lights were off. Buildings stood empty. Vehicles sat unattended. From his hidden observation post, Frank watched as the first Varatians emerged from their ships. They were even more intimidating in person than in the images he'd seen. Tall, muscular beings with reptilian features and predatory movements. The Varatian commander, sub-leader Drek, surveyed the empty colony with suspicion. "Spread out," he ordered his hunters. "Find the humans. They can't have gone far." The hunters moved through the colony, weapons ready. They found nothing. No humans. No resistance. Just empty buildings and silent machines. "Perhaps they fled when they detected our approach," one hunter suggested. Drek growled. "Impossible. Our approach was too swift. They're hiding. Find them." The Varatians began a more thorough search, breaking into buildings and checking for signs of recent habitation. They found nothing obvious, but Drek wasn't convinced. "Check below ground," he ordered. "Humans are burrowers. They dig into planets." As the first group of Varatians entered the main mining tunnel, Frank watched from his hidden position. He waited until they were deep inside, then pressed a button on his remote. The tunnel entrance collapsed behind them, trapping them inside. Across the colony, similar traps were sprung. Varatians found themselves sealed in buildings, trapped in collapsing tunnels, or caught in snares made from mining cables. Drek roared in fury as reports came in. "They're attacking from hiding. Warriors of the Varatian Empire do not fall to such cowardly tactics." But the attacks continued. Small groups of miners ambushed isolated Varatians, using their knowledge of the terrain to strike and disappear. Before the aliens could respond, Samantha led one such group. Armed with modified mining lasers, they struck at a Varatian search party from multiple directions at once. The aliens fought back fiercely, but they were confused by the humans' tactics. "They don't fight like proper prey. One Varation snarled as he fired at shadows. "Because we're not prey," Samantha replied, though the alien couldn't hear her. She signaled to her team and they fell back into the maze of storage buildings, drawing the Varations into another trap. By the second day, the Varations had lost nearly a third of their force without killing a single human. Drek was furious, his status as a hunt leader now in jeopardy. If he returned to the fleet having failed to take a simple mining colony, his career would be over. "Burn it all," he commanded. "If they won't face us honorably, we will destroy their hiding places." The Varations began setting buildings on fire, trying to smoke out the hidden humans. It was a dangerous tactic, potentially destroying the very resources they had come to claim. As the fires spread, Samantha knew they couldn't hide much longer. "Time for Phase 2, she told Frank over their secure communication channel. "Are the tunnels ready?" "All set," Frank confirmed. "The main chamber can hold everyone." Across the colony, the miners and their families retreated into the deepest mining tunnels, a vast chamber reinforced against cave-ins. It was uncomfortable and crowded, but it was safe from the fires above. The Varations watched with satisfaction as the colony burned. Drek was certain the humans would soon emerge, fleeing the flames. But hour after hour passed, and no humans appeared. "Where are they?" Drek demanded. "Scan for life forms." The scans showed nothing. The humans had disappeared. Drek couldn't understand it. No prey had ever evaded his hunters for so long. Then, just as the Varacians began to consider that the humans might truly be gone, a new ship appeared in the sky above the colony. It was sleek and dark, approaching silently without any engine. "Flare. Varacian vessel," a human voice broadcast on all frequencies. "This is Captain George Miller of the Earth battleship Defiance. You are engaged in hostile actions against a human colony. Surrender or be destroyed." Drek laughed. "One ship? Against 3 Varacian hunter vessels? The humans are more foolish than I thought." He ordered his ships to attack the Defiance. All 3 Varacian vessels fired at once, but their weapons passed through the human ship without impact. A hologram, Drek realized too late. "It's a trick." The real Defiance decloaked behind the Varacian ships, its weapons already firing. The first Varacian vessel exploded before it could turn. The second managed to fire a single shot before it too was destroyed. Drek's ship tried to escape, engines flaring as it rose from the planet's surface. But the Defiance was quicker, its targeting systems locking on with deadly precision. "Wait," Drek called out. "We surrender. A true hunter knows when he is defeated." Captain Miller's voice was cold. "You're not hunters here. You're just targets." The Defiance fired once more, and Drek's ship fell from the sky in flames. Hours later, as the colonists emerged from their underground shelter, Captain Miller met with Samantha and Frank. "Your tactics worked perfectly," he told them. "Earth Command will be very interested in how a small mining colony held off a Varacian attack force." Samantha looked over the damaged but largely intact colony. "We knew we couldn't beat them in a direct fight, so we changed the rules." News of the victory spread quickly throughout human space. For the first time, a Varacian attack had been completely repelled. The predators had become the prey, and beyond human space other species took note. The Zelfians shared the news among the scattered survivors of conquered worlds. The unbeatable hunters had been beaten, and the species that had done it was willing to teach others how to fight back. Earth's skies were filled with ships. Human vessels flew alongside alien craft in defensive formations. On the ground, people looked up with mixed feelings of fear and hope. The final confrontation was coming. In the main command center beneath, the Rocky Mountains, General William Patterson studied the tactical displays. Representatives from all 7 allied species stood nearby, watching as red dots appeared at the edge of the solar system. "They're here," William said calmly. "The largest Varacian fleet ever assembled." Admiral Peter Johnson nodded grimly. 300 ships, just as our intelligence predicted. On the main screen, they watched as the Varacian armada approached. At the center of the fleet was an enormous vessel twice the size of any they had seen before, the Supreme Hunter's command ship. "Begin Operation Trojan Horse," William ordered. Across Earth's defensive line, ships began to pull back, creating what appeared to be gaps in the defense. It looked like a panicked retreat, but it was all part of the plan. On the Varation command ship, Supreme Hunter Vorg watched with satisfaction. "The humans flee before our might," he growled to his officers. "Press forward, show no mercy." The Varation fleet surged ahead, eager to exploit the weaknesses in Earth's defenses. They didn't notice the small, stealthed satellites positioned throughout the solar system. They didn't detect the strange energy building within these devices. In a secure room at the research station, Dr. John Baker sat across from Krazathul. The Varation was no longer restrained. Over the weeks, a strange trust had formed between them. "Your people are attacking Earth," John said. "Hundreds of ships." Krazathul's expression was unreadable. "Supreme Hunter Vorg will accept nothing less than complete victory. It is our way." "It doesn't have to be," John replied. "You've seen another way now. You've seen cooperation instead of domination." The Varation was silent for a long moment. "What happens now?" "That depends partly on you," John said, sliding a communication device across the table. "Your people respect strength, but there's more than one kind of strength." Back at the command center, Engineer Michelle Scott reported from her station. "Gravity disruptors are charged and ready, waiting for the Varations to reach the target zone." William nodded. "Let them think they're winning a little longer." The Varasian fleet pushed deeper into the solar system, destroying the few human ships that opposed them. Vorg was pleased. The humans were not as formidable as feared. Their allies were scattered and disorganized. Victory would be swift. They enter the target zone in 3, 2, 1. Michelle counted down. "Now." She pressed a button, and the hidden satellites activated simultaneously. Waves of gravitational distortion swept across space. Varation ships suddenly found themselves unable to maintain course. Their momentum-based weapons, which relied on precise trajectories, became useless as gravity itself seemed to twist around them. "All ships attack now," William commanded. The human fleet, which had appeared to retreat, now turned and attacked with full force. From hiding places around moons and asteroids, their alien allies joined the assault. The Varasians found themselves caught in a massive trap. Aboard the massive Varation command ship, Vorg roared in fury. "How is this possible? Their technology was not this advanced," an officer replied nervously. "They've combined technologies from multiple species, Supreme Hunter. Our sensors can't compensate." "Then we will fight without sensors," Vorg snarled. "Launch all fighters, target their homeworld directly." But as the Varation fighters deployed, a new threat appeared. Small, agile human ships equipped with Etherian shield technology engaged them. The human pilots flew with a daring that shocked the Varasians, taking risks no sensible hunter would consider. Meanwhile, a small stealth craft approached the massive Varasian command ship. Inside were Commander Ryan Foster and a team of specially trained soldiers, and with them was Krazathul. "Are you sure about this?" Ryan asked the Varation. "Once we're aboard, there's no turning back." Krazathul nodded. "I have seen what humans can do. I have seen a better way than endless hunting. My people need to see it too." Their ship docked with the command vessel using codes Krazathul provided. They moved swiftly through the corridors, heading for the main control room. In space, the battle raged. Varation ships fought fiercely, but they were handicapped by the gravity distortions and the unexpected alliance they faced. For the first time in their history, they were outmatched and outmaneuvered. On the command ship, Ryan's team fought their way toward the bridge. Krazathul led them, his knowledge of the ship proving invaluable. When they finally reached the main control room, they found Vorg waiting. The Supreme Hunter was massive, his scaled body bearing the scars of countless hunts. He looked at Krazathul with disgust. "Traitor," he growled. "Not a traitor," Krazathul replied. "A visionary. Our way is dying, Vorg. These humans have shown me a better path." Vorg roared and attacked. He was powerful and fast, but Krazathul had learned from humans. He fought not with brute strength, but with strategy and teamwork. coordinating with Ryan and his soldiers. The battle was fierce but brief. In the end, Vorg lay defeated, staring up at Krazathul in disbelief. "Finish it," he gasped. "Take your prize, Hunter." Krazathul shook his head. "That is the old way. Today we begin something new." He activated the ship's communication system, broadcasting to all Varatian vessels. "This is Krazathul. Supreme Hunter Vorg is defeated. I claim leadership by right of combat." The Varatian fleet hesitated. Their tradition was clear. Strength determined leadership. If Vorg was defeated, they must follow the victor. "But I do not claim this victory alone," Krazathul continued. "It was achieved through cooperation with humans and their allies. The way of the solitary hunter is over. Today we join a greater community of species, or we perish in our pride." Across, the fleet Varatian commanders looked at each other in confusion. This was not their way, but they had also never faced defeat on this scale before. One by one, the Varatian ships ceased fighting. The greatest predators in the galaxy had been humbled. Days later, representatives from all species gathered in a vast hall in Geneva. Humans sat alongside Zelfians, Etherians, Makari, and others, and among them, looking somewhat uncomfortable but determined, was Krazathul. Ambassador Nancy Clark stood to speak. "Today marks a new beginning for our galaxy. For too long, the Varatian Empire ruled through fear and predation. Today we begin an era of cooperation." Krazathul stepped forward. "My people have much to learn about this new way. But we were once apex predators who evolved intelligence. We can evolve again. The transition would not be easy. Centuries of Varatian culture could not be changed overnight. But the pattern was broken. The predators had met a species they could not simply hunt and conquer. They had met humans. In the years that followed, the galaxy changed. Former Varatian territories became independent again. The alliance of species grew stronger, and humans, once unknown beyond their own solar system, became known throughout the stars, not as conquerors, not as prey, but as the species that taught even the mightiest predators that cooperation could be stronger than domination. That in the vastness of space, being feared was less valuable than being respected. The predators had feared no one until they met humans. Now they feared no one because humans had shown them a better way. The news of the mining colony's victory spread across the galaxy like wildfire. For the first time in centuries, the Varatians had been defeated. Species that had lived in fear for generations began to whisper of hope. Ambassador Nancy Clark stood before the gathered representatives of 7 different alien species. The meeting room on the neutral space station Harmony was crowded with beings of all shapes and sizes. Some had tentacles. Others had multiple eyes or strange skin colors. But they all shared one thing. They had all suffered under Varatian dominance. "Humans don't claim to be the strongest or smartest species in the galaxy," Nancy said. "But we know something about fighting back against predators. Our entire history is filled with it." A Zelfian representative spoke up. "Your victory at Proxima Centauri was impressive, but the Varatians will retaliate. They always do." Nancy nodded. "We're counting on it. But this time, they won't just face humans. They'll face all of us working together." The representatives looked at each other nervously. The idea of standing against the Varatians was still new and frightening for many of them. "What are you proposing?" asked the Etherian delegate, a short being with blue skin and 4 arms. "An alliance," Nancy replied. "Each of our species has different strengths and technologies. Together we can be stronger than any of us alone." While Nancy worked on building alliances, the Varatian High Command was in turmoil. Never before had they lost a full hunting party to prey. The highest-ranking hunters gathered in their central chamber, a dark room filled with trophies from conquered worlds. "These humans are different," growled Supreme Hunter Vorg, the oldest, and most respected of the Varatian leaders. "They do not behave as prey should. They use trickery and deception," another hunter complained. "There is no honor in their fighting." Borg silenced him with a wave of his clawed hand. Honor is for the victorious. We must understand these humans if we are to defeat them. He turned to a shadowy figure at the edge of the room. Kraz-Thul, you are our most skilled lone hunter. I task you with studying these humans up close. Learn their weaknesses. Kraz-Thul stepped forward. He was smaller than most Varatians, but known for his intelligence and stealth. I accept this hunt, he said, bowing low. Weeks later, Lieutenant Lisa Rodriguez moved quietly through the corridors of the research station Artemis. The station had been on high alert ever since intelligence suggested it might be a Varasian target. As head of security, Lisa took the threat seriously. Motion in Sector 7, reported a voice in her earpiece. Could be nothing, but sensors picked up something. I'll check it out, Lisa replied, gesturing for two security officers to follow her. They moved cautiously through the dimly lit corridor. The research station was mostly automated, with only 30 human staff maintaining the experiments. Most were asleep at this hour. Lisa heard a faint scraping sound ahead. She raised her hand, signaling her team to stop. Then she saw it, a shadow moving where no shadow should be. Station security, she called out. Identify yourself. The shadow moved with incredible speed. Before Lisa could react, one of her officers was knocked unconscious. The other fired his weapon, but the shots missed as the intruder leapt to the EI ceiling. Lisa caught a glimpse of scaled skin and glowing eyes. A Varatian, here, inside their most secure facility. She triggered the station-wide alarm and fired her own weapon. Her shot caught the Varatian in the leg. It snarled in pain, but kept moving. Lisa pursued, determined not to let it escape. The creature was heading toward the main laboratory, where the station's most sensitive research was conducted. With a burst of speed, Lisa tackled the Varatian from behind. They crashed to the floor together. The alien was incredibly strong, nearly throwing her off. But Lisa had trained for this. She pressed a device against the Varatian's neck and triggered it. A powerful sedative flooded into the alien system. The Varatian fought the drug but eventually went limp. Lisa rolled off, breathing hard. She had just captured a live Varatian infiltrator. Hours later, Dr. John Baker stared through the reinforced glass at their captive. The Varasian was now conscious and secured in a specially designed cell. It watched them with intelligent, predatory eyes. Remarkable specimen, John murmured. This is the first time we've been able to study one alive. Lisa stood beside him, arms crossed. It was trying to reach the lab. It must have been after the weapon research. The Varatian suddenly spoke, its voice translated by the computer. Your barriers cannot hold me for long, humans. John was surprised. You speak our language? I have studied your kind, the Varatian replied. I am Kraz-Thul, elite hunter of the Varatian Empire. Well, Kraz-Thul, Lisa said, you're not hunting anymore. You're caught. Kraz-Thul made a sound that might have been laughter. An unexpected development, but a true hunter adapts. Over the next few days, John spent hours talking with Kraz-Thul. Despite initial resistance, the Varatian began to answer his questions. John learned about Varatian society, their rigid hierarchy, and their belief that hunting was the highest form of honor. Your species confuses me, Kraz-Thul admitted during one session. You are physically weak, yet you fight with unexpected effectiveness. You work together in ways my people do not understand. Cooperation is one of our greatest strengths, John explained. Humans learned long ago that we're more powerful together than apart. Kraz-Thul considered this. An interesting concept. The strong among my people lead. The weak follow or die. It has always been our way. And how's that working out for you now? John asked. Your people have never been defeated before, have they? The Varasian was silent for a long moment. No, this is new. It is educational. While John worked with Kraz-Thul, Ambassador Nancy's alliance grew stronger. The Etherians provided advanced shield technology that could withstand Varasian weapons. The Makari offered faster-than-light communication systems. Other species contributed their own unique technologies and knowledge. And humans. Humans provided the one thing the others had lost: hope. The belief that the predators could be defeated. As ships from various species gathered near Earth, Admiral Peter Johnson watched with satisfaction. "I never thought I'd see this," he told Dr. Alan White. 7 different species working together against a common enemy. Alan nodded. The Veraceans thought they were the only predators worth fearing in this galaxy. They were wrong. On distant worlds previously conquered by the Veraceans, resistance movements began to form. Inspired by the humans' success, subjugated species rose up against their oppressors. For the first time in memory, the mighty Veracian Empire faced rebellion on multiple fronts. Supreme Hunter Vorg received the reports with growing rage. "These humans have poisoned the minds of our subjects," he snarled. "They must be eliminated before their influence spreads further." He turned to his commanders. "Prepare the main fleet. We will attack the human homeworld directly. This defiance ends now." But what Vorg didn't realize was that the humans were counting on exactly that response. The trap was set. All they needed was for the predators to take the bait.